I knew he was afraid of my conquering army, but I didn't think he would be stupid enough to leave you behind. Oh, no, you quite misunderstand. Your army's already dead. Brant sat on a low stone, watching as the line of men and beasts approached. He brought his hand up from his stomach, his glove stained with blood. Wouldn't be long now, one way or the other. He winced a bit as he got back to his feet. It would be terribly impolite not to greet his old friend's greatest foe without at least looking him in the eye. I knew Arn was afraid of me and my army, but I never thought he'd be foolish or cowardly enough to leave his champion behind. General Laron sneered. Honestly, I thought certain even he wouldn't be so cold as to deny you at least the comfort of a pyre to see you off. Brant chuckled a little, which hurt, but it wouldn't matter soon. Oh, but you misunderstand. The chuckle grew into a laugh. He knows me well, General, and what you fail to realize is that I am the pyre. Your army was dead the second you set foot within 3 miles of me. Laron looked unmoved by this. Is that so? If you've had the power to wipe us out, why haven't you used this little trick before? Because, his eyes lit up with a mixture of anger and sorrow, it's the kind of trick you can only use once. Do you know what they call me, Laron? Both in my camp and yours? Hellfire Brant, if I'm not mistaken, he began to shift uneasily, because of your propensity for arcane fire. Half right, I was blessed, or cursed depending on your view of it, with incredible inner fire as a boy. The temperature for a square mile spiked, but I was never granted the necessary resistances to it. So I learned to use a few words to control it, so that I wouldn't cause undue destruction. Laron grabbed his sword, but found that the hilt had grown too hot to hold. What are you? You see, if I choose to, I can burn bright to modify the intensity of my flames. The heat became unbearable for many of the men, who fell from their horses in the hopes that the ground would be cool enough to save them. But you see, I've always wanted to try combining my magic control words to see just how bad it could be. Laron lurched forward, wrapping his arms around Brant in an attempt to tackle him to the ground. Stop, you fool. You'll destroy everything. Brant grinned. Funny, that was my aim all along. Now, my inner fire, burn bright. You're asking me to leave you here, to die, while I escape like a coward? Aron's face contorted with barely contained anger. How could you even consider that? I am only slowing us down, Aron, Brant hissed as he gripped his wounded side. If we are captured here, what becomes of our home? Our people? Our friends and loved ones? He winced a bit, leaning against a low stone. You cannot be stopped here. You are my friend, my brother Brant. Tears arose unbidden into Aron's eyes. What am I to tell the others when I return without you? How am I to continue our fight? Brant smiled. Tell them that dying embers can spark the deadliest wildfires, and as to how you continue the fight, he chuckled a bit, which hurt, but it wouldn't matter soon. Have Iris and Omer begin chanting for rain at my signal. Aron looked at him quizzically, wiping the tears from his eyes. What signal? Oh, you'll know it when you see it. A column of flame stretched from terra firma to firmament, a second sun in the waning daylight. Hellfire Brant lived up to his name, as the land for miles around became as ash. The great vast army of the north, gathered here to crush the final hopes of their verdant southern neighbors, simply ceased to be, the men and monsters no more than fuel for Brant's grand funeral pyre. The rains began soon after, and while it would be weeks before the conflagration abated, it would be only months more before the great northern empire collapsed into infighting and civil war, and years before it recovered from the blow. The ash field, which sat at the border of the two nations, would never again be crossed by the northern armies.